Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the workshop. Today we are going to make something kind of different and weird. It's not a super popular weapon, especially here in the West, but I think it's going to be really neat, and I've never made one, so I'm kind of excited. What we're making today is the Aztec Macua ma, 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 Aztec sword. Jokes aside, the Macuahuitl, I'm definitely butchering that. I'm not saying that right. But from now on, I'm just going to call it the Aztec sword because it makes my brain hurt less. We're going to be making an Aztec sword, which is traditionally made from something like either oak or pine and obsidian for the blades. You can see I'm super zoomed out because big board. So this is literally just a piece of pallet wood. It's not the straightest thing in the world, but I think it's kind of close enough where it should be fine. It's got a little bit of a warp in it, but again, I think it'll be fine. Plus, it was free 99, so I can't really complain. What we're gonna do instead of using obsidian blades, we're gonna use razors because I found a pack on Amazon for like $2. So we're gonna be using these. Kind of hard to see. We're gonna be using these utility razor blade knives. So I've got about 100 of them. Realistically, we might use like 20 at most. First thing we need to do is mark out the shape of our Aztec sword. There's a bunch of folds in here from when it was a pallet. I just hammered those out. There used to be nails there. We'll probably end up cutting this section here just because of the shape. I'm thinking I'll probably put the pommel on this end. That way it kind of cuts out most of this. On the opposite end, I already just cut off that section, mostly because there was a nail that I just couldn't get out. So I said, fuck it, just cut it off with a handsaw. So let's get to marking. I will grab something to measure with and make straight lines because I am not good at making straight lines. So I'm just actually, you know what? I'm just gonna use another board. We're literally just gonna use this from the same palette. Just gonna use another board. That being said, a lot of traditional Macuahuitls were a lot smaller. You had some variety. There were some that were really, really big like this, where they're very easily two-handed weapons. And then there was also just plenty of them that were maybe half the size. There were sidearms, in addition to something like a spear. I've also seen in artistic representations some Macuahuitls that were literally a spear with a head that was this big, of the same design as the sword that just had spikes of obsidian going around. That's not what we're going to make today. It's really cool, but I don't have enough wood for that, and I don't want to make any more pole arms. So for today, we'll just start marking that out. I'm expecting to use the full length of the board. You don't have to, but it's just what I'm going to do. And I'll also probably interject as I'm drawing and going over this a little bit more history about the weapon. Just because I think the history is just kind of neat. So to go a bit deeper into the history and usage of the weapon, the Macuahuitl is a wooden sword with several embedded obsidian blades. That's a tongue twister. The name is derived from the Nahuatl language and means handwood. Context. One example of this weapon actually did survive the conquest of the Aztec Empire. It was in the Royal Armory of Madrid until it was destroyed in a fire in 1884. Here's a drawing of that sword. This is the one that was actually in the Royal Armory. You can see this is a long weapon. This one is very much a two-handed version. It's probably a similar size to what I made lengthwise. Also, there was the polearm version of this weapon. I did mention it. It's actually called the Tepotzopili. I definitely did that right. I definitely said that wrong. Unfortunately, this one was also housed in the Madrid Royal Armory and was destroyed. It was literally right next to it. Both of these were constructed in a pretty similar way, and the Tepotzopili was another frontline weapon. One of the most interesting parts of the Macuahuitl, though, was the way it was used. Due to the importance of human sacrifice in local cultures, it was actually the goal of warriors to capture their opponents alive instead of killing them outright, and this was considered an act of skill. Because the Macuahuitl was both sword and club, you can use the blunted, flat part of the weapon to knock somebody out instead of killing them outright, so you can use them in human sacrifice. I just think that is super neat. Alright, so we just cut and hammered most of the handle to shape. Just pull it off the clamps. Oh, my arm's gonna be sore tomorrow. But we got most of the handle to shape. I may have smacked a little too hard in some spots, but I think we can fix it on the belt sander. So I'm not that worried. Alright, so we finished shaping the basic parts. It still needs a lot of refinement. You guys will see a clip. I tried the belt sander. Oh my god, that did not fucking work. For whatever reason, this wood here is super sticky. So it just destroyed 2 belts in a row. After that, I was just like, fuck it. And just grabbed a knife and just started cutting it down just by hand. It was just way easier. Made a mess all over my floor, but it's what we do. And also cut the absolute hell out of myself like 3 times because I was tired and not paying attention. I did stupid. So yeah, I've got the basic shape of the handle down. It needs some refinement. I haven't done the pommel yet. That is on purpose. I don't want to do it quite yet in case I need to use this flat edge to shave things down or otherwise make adjustments. I like to have the extra meat on the back just to kind of keep it stable. From here, what I really need to do is use the belt sander to get the edges done. But we finished the shaping of the handle, did the bevels on the blade, so that's done too. Last thing to do as far as just basic shaping was the pommel. I've gone ahead and drawn in a kind of diamond shape-ish. Time to do the tip. Pommel is donezo. Cut it to shape. It's got that nice diamond. I cleaned up a little bit of the corners here, and I went and did the tip. So, what's up next? A lot of sanding and smoothing. This thing is really big. Just to give you a semblance of scale, right now the whole length is 44 inches. That is the full length of the entire piece, is 44 inches. The blade itself is 31 inches. This is absolutely a two-handed sword. It is big. It is not the biggest weapon I've made, but it is a chonker for sure. It is definitely heavy too. So can you in theory wield it one-handed? Yes. Is it difficult? Also yes. But anyway, we have a lot of sanding to do. Got my trusty sanding sponge. I've got a few different grits of sandpaper, and we're just gonna be here for a while, smoothing the hell out of this. So we went and smoothed everything out.
It's not 100% smooth, but that's okay. Plus, we're still going to do a few more things to this before we finish up anyway. First thing, I went and drew up some designs for the front of this, because leaving this kind of plain would be lame, to be frank. It would just be really lame. So I liked this dragon motif, so I kind of styled it the same way that they drew their stuff, using a lot of straight lines. So went and printed it out. I'm thinking we do something like dragon on this end spewing fire, and then we'll do another design on the other side. But this is what we'll start with. I just went and did all of the art on both sides. So the design's all the way in there now. What I'm going to do first is wood burning. We're back again. I burned the absolute hell out of myself a few times last time, so let's try not to do that twice. But I'm just going to go ahead and just do a basic burn on everything that you see here. Just going to go around the entire piece.
Yeah. These are going to take forever. I am 100% doing the 4 adventurers off camera. I am not doing that on camera. I'm just going to freaking do that later. Sorry, you guys aren't going to see that, but I'm going to need to be way closer to get the details, so kind of tough shit.
Ooh. Here's what we're working with so far. We've got this cool little cave section. Then flip it over. On the other side, we finished the dragon entirely. We got the dragon's breath, the dragon itself, and the dragon's wealth. And the same thing over here. I'm probably going to leave this section blank and put some skulls here, just because.
I marked out a center line here. Just use a piece of wood and a pencil and one across. Kind of hard to do on camera without bumping into the camera, so I figured I'll just record it separate.
Alright, just finished cutting the groove. So now it's deep enough. You can see it fit. Just past to where those 2 ridges are. Most of the way down. So it's relatively even. I also cut myself like 4 times. Just checking. These things are sharp as fuck. Which, I mean, they're razor blades. They're supposed to be. So that'll fit right in there. So I'm going to line up a ton of these. I'm thinking I'm going to go from like here-ish all the way at the end until right about there.
Next up is painting. This part's going to be muted because I want to watch TV while I do it. So, well, more specifically, I like to listen to really old stories while I do stuff. So I'm listening to Beowulf today. Which, I didn't even think about this when I started the project. But yeah, Beowulf fights a dragon. I didn't even think about that. Kind of works out.
I went and painted this whole section here. The grip and the guard obviously is still unpainted, but I wanted to do the dragon first. Mostly because I thought it was cool. I'm thinking for this section, I might just do like this triangular pattern. Kind of like how I did on the last axe I worked on, instead of putting a bunch of skulls like I was thinking. But instead, I'm thinking I do one big skull right here. And I'm going to paint these sections too, that way it fills up the rest of the space, so it doesn't look so blank and empty.
Alright, so as you can see, the art is done on the Macuahuitl. Got the painting done on both sides. I really like the way it turned out. I think it's neat. Is it traditional? Absolutely not. I think it's neat. Anyway, so now that this is done, razor blade time. So I've got a metric ton of these razor blades, but they're all coated in an oil right now. So I'm gonna have to clean them off. Got some isopropyl alcohol. We're gonna wipe all of these little blades down. It should be 20 total because it's gonna be about 10 per side. So I've got like 100 of these because they were like $5. We're gonna clean these off, and then I have JB Weld. If not JB Weld, I've got fucking hot glue. Especially because this thing, like the set time is like 6 hours, and I'm kind of impatient. So I think we're just gonna hot glue it, and if a razor blade falls out, it falls out. Alright, so I've got my razor blades cleaned and prepped, and these things are fucking scary. But we're gonna get started. I've decided I'm using hot glue because it's so much easier than JB Weld. And I would probably use epoxy instead if I had, but I don't, so we're just gonna send it.
got all the blades in place. I don't like the way this one ended up, but you know, so that be. So with these in place, I'm gonna let the whole thing dry. But you can already see, that's pretty fucking wicked. Yeah, I did a little bit of overlap here on the end just because I didn't want to stick it out too much. But that's pretty scary looking. Yeah, this thing is fucking dangerous already. Yeah, don't do this at home. This is scary. All right, I'm gonna let this dry. We'll flip it over and glue the other side.
All right, the final glue up is done, and we're going to very, very carefully oil the entire thing, hopefully without slicing my hand open. Like that. Immediately cut the fucking paper. I heard, okay, so, alright, so a lot of this was inspired because I don't know if this is true, but I heard that in the British Museum before it burned down, they had a two-handed version of this that supposedly was big enough and strong enough to behead a horse. Like, as in, one of the conquistadors, when they were fighting the Aztecs, he was riding a horse. Dude came up, cut through the head of the horse, kept going, and then beheaded him too. I don't know, I don't think that's true, because the precision for that would be fucking impossible. But if it is, that's awesome. I'm a big fan of Berserk, and that shit happens in Berserk, and the fact that there's a possibility, even if it's pretty low, that happened in real life is fucking sick to me. So, quick editor's note. I did look it up. By look it up, I meant I went to Wikipedia. And according to an account by Bernal Diaz de Castillo, one of Hernan Cortez's conquistadors, it could decapitate a horse. I'll leave the full quote on screen, but apparently it was possible and it did happen.
Let this dry for an hour. I'll come back. We'll do a little bit of testing. So I will probably just find some water bottles to cut in half, I guess. But anyway, we'll try that in a bit. But I'll catch you on the flip side.
Yeah, this thing, I didn't have a proper stand, so stacked a bunch of stuff and kind of hoping for the best. Do not try the sit part. Whoosh! That went easier than I expected, and I accidentally hit my camera. Whoops. I may or may not have destroyed my tripod. Oh well. It's fine. I think that worked. It's done a lot. Yeah, the whole thing got covered in water. I'm gonna... Oh, I did not plan this through. This is acrylic. This is water-based paint. And I just smacked into a router bottle. Yeah, the paint's gonna start running. It definitely hit the camera. It's fine. Huh. One-handed in half. So as kind of like a, I guess, strength test, durability test, I'm gonna smack this wood. This is probably a bad idea, because these blades are not super well held in. But I'm just gonna send it any. Figure we'll go one to the side and one to the top. Yeah. Wood's still solid. One of our blades definitely moved though. But I mean, hey. Well, that stuff's already got too. Even against the grain. Still on my side. Well, that's awkward. So, clearly not the strongest wood. I've been working on this for like 3 days. I'm kind of pissed. So it broke right at the joint. Yeah, I mean, I knew I used scrap wood, but I didn't expect it to break that quickly because it broke right at the handle. Man, that kind of sucks. Granted, we did also lose 2 razor blades. They just came off. And this one moved. Which is, it's fine, that was expected. Just sad that it broke in like 2 swings. So real quick, I went to try and look for the blades and I found them. I mean, that's pretty deep in the wood. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not exactly pleased that my weapon broke in half, but that's pretty solid. At least I don't have to go looking for the blades. Well, I guess we're doing kind of a post-mortem, because kind of an issue. So, the wood we were using wasn't great to begin with, which I knew and I was fine with. I kind of went gung-ho on the last swing and really put my weight behind it, and our weapon kind of broke in half. So, I knew I wasn't using great wood to begin with, but damn, this sucks. Granted, the blades stayed in place, they worked perfect. The wood is just where we obviously had a catastrophic failure. Obviously, swinging into the wood was just too much, and I should have known it was too much. Oh, hi. Sorry, I interrupt this because a cat has come to say hello. Hi. Hello, cat. Anyway, back to postmortem. Yeah, obviously, weapon broke in half. It fucking sucks. I'm probably gonna glue this back together for display, but as far as swinging it, obviously it's not gonna work anymore. While things didn't go exactly as planned for today's episode, I still want to tell you guys thank you so much for watching. It was a lot of fun to work on this. We learned a lot. We got to do some pretty cool art on it. And for the future, I might make another one of these. I'm just probably going to make it a bit smaller. But either way, thank you guys so much for watching. And for those of you who stay to the end, you get a sneak peek on the next episode. I won't show you too much. Either way, you get that sneak peek where in the next episode, I promise the weapon we work on doesn't break. I already finished it. I already tested it. It does work. So I guess I'll stop chatting your ear off, but I really hope you guys join me next time in the workshop, and I will see you then where we've got more cool projects to build. Bye now.